What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, I am going to be doing Scary Movie 2, and then the plan is either tomorrow or Friday, I am going to review Cloverfield. I'm going to probably watch Cloverfield tomorrow, but if I don't review it tomorrow, it'll be Friday. But today, I am going to be doing Scary Movie 2. So we are continuing on with the franchise. And even at the time, this is probably of the original four. I'm not five, we're not even counting. I do think this is the weakest of them. I think this one, my big issue is it relies a little too much on gross out humor. Whereas, like, don't get me wrong, you had moments like that in the first one, but I think there's like too much of it. As you know, I don't mind the opening scene where they're parodying The Exorcist. The Exorcist is supposed to be gross, so if you're gonna parody that, of course you're gonna parody the gross shit. I don't have a problem with that. It's the dude with the hand, specifically the dinner scene. I did not like it this last review. I'm like, okay, this is just gross. It's not funny, gross. This is just gross. I didn't even mind that character because I actually love the scene where he's arguing with Dwight about their ailments. They're just talking shit to each other. Like the dude with the hand is talking shit to Dwight because Dwight's handicapped, and then Dwight's talking shit about his hand because he has a deformed hand. But then he's like, "Walk, I will walk away. Walk away." You were in that production called Stomp. He said even there's one line he's like, "I gotta do a standing ovation." It was so funny. Give this man a hand. Like, it was such a funny back and forth. Like, I still think it's a funny movie, and it's a decent continuation, and I love the trend. Like, Brenda, I don't know why I couldn't remember her name in the first one when I did the review, but Brenda, Regina Hall, she is great in these movies. I love that they just disregard, because this happens a couple times. It happens in this movie. She doesn't die in this one, so she is back in 3, so that makes sense. But in 4, she dies in 3. But she's just back and forth. I love the trend of she dies and she just comes back. We don't even give a fuck. Even Ray, like Ray died in the first one, and then he's just back. And they disregard he's the killer. He's just a survivor now. And I'll admit, I don't fully, I think I have seen the movie that this movie is parodying. It came out like 99. It's about like a haunted house. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but I have seen it. I remember, I think I watched it last year. It was a decent movie, but I will say it's definitely the weakest of the original four for me because I don't watch this one as much as the others. Like, I think I generally will watch the first one. I'll even just kind of skip to 3. And I understand some people do not like 3 and 4 because, the Wayans aren't as involved in those movies. But I think it was the Zuckers who were involved in the last 2, which actually I'm kind of cool with because they did Naked Gun and all that shit. But I think that's why it's just 3 and 4. There's gross out humor still, but it's not reliant on it. I think this one there's too much of it a little bit, and I don't think it's as strong like plot wise compared to the other 2 for me. I'll be honest. I'll watch Scary Movie 4 over this one. It's not terrible. I still think it's funny. You have some really good. I love the scene where they parody that MB like the. This was '01, so if you remember, there was like this early 2000s basketball commercial where there's like a bunch of NBA players just playing basketball. Yeah, so it was that kind of. They parodied that. I love the scene where Cindy's driving and she's singing and like she's listening to the song and the song's playing and then all of a sudden she's like, "Shut the fuck up and let me sing." It's such a funny. So there's funny moments in the movie. I still think it's great. Tim Curry is old man. That's basically it's literally his name. He's fucking great. As the guy who gives them the. It's basically if they stay overnight, they can get points in this house, and then the Ray jokes where they continue the gay joke. There's a scene where you get this like haunted fucking clown that tries to kidnap Ray, but then Ray's like, "Oh no, I get to touch you," and then all of a sudden it switches, and the clown's trying to get away. It's fucking great. So there's great stuff in this movie. So I still will not. So don't. This isn't me trashing the movie. I just have my little bit of criticism, but this is still really funny. I also really love the opening with James Woods where they parody the The Exorcist. Fuck this. You know? Like I think it's still a solid movie. Like it's just I'll be honest, I prefer 3. Definitely I prefer 3. I think that's probably a funnier movie, but you know, this is still when movies were allowed to be funny. And you do get some new characters. You got Buddy, who that if you remember that actor, he's in Malcolm in the Middle. He's Malcolm's older brother. That's like away at like a military school. Yeah, it's him. That's the guy. He plays Buddy, who tries to get with Cindy initially. She says, "Oh, we want to be friends." So the whole gag with him is, okay, he treats her like a bro. So he basically kind of like the little pranks you do with your guy friends. He does to her, and that's pretty much the gag throughout the movie. Eventually, they do get together by the end of the movie, but yeah, Brenda returns. Ray, you get Shorty back. Um, this really hot chick. Oh man, I don't really remember her name, but she was just kind of the hot chick. Oh, you also get the gag where they do a parody of. If you've seen the 2000s Charlie's Angels movie, they did a parody of that in like the end, where like it was Brenda, the hot chick, and then Cindy, all fighting the guy at the hand. And it's the ghost of Hugh Kane. Also, you have Tori Spelling's character, where her gag is she's gets overly attached to the ghost of Hugh Kane because there's a scene where they fuck and he's a ghost, but she gets overly attached. Like there's a scene where she finds out she's actually in love with, because Anna Fair's Cindy is similar looking to the girl he used to be in love with, and she gets really jealous. And he gets like scared of her because she's so possessive. It's funny. Like I really still think this is a great movie. So this isn't a negative review. I just don't think it's as good as the first one, and I don't even think it's as good as 3. I think it's a situation where it's sandwiched between 1 and 3. I just prefer those movies over this one, but I still think it's good. But yeah. After this, I will be reviewing, like I said, Cloverfield. I'm gonna try to do it tomorrow, but if I can't do it tomorrow, I'll do it Friday. But yeah, Cloverfield, I rewatched it recently. That's kind of what made me want to do this video, because it's probably easily the best found footage movie. It's easily the best found footage movie. I think the way it's shot, the way it's probably one of the best shot found footage movies, because usually those look like shit. And the way you're able to get these iconic film shots, but cinematic shots, but you're still able to kind of make it found footagey. I love that. You actually had decent characters. They weren't the greatest characters, but they're decent enough characters that you didn't necessarily want them to die. And for being in general, it's a great monster movie. Like I love the look of the creature. I love that it's basically an alien. And actually, it's one of those things too, you kind of have to look up. They don't reveal that fully in the movie. Or if they do, it's kind of like an afterthought. So it's like if they did admit it, you just kind of forgot about it. So it has that vibe. Oh, it's just here. The monster's just here. You don't really have an origin. And if you do want to find it, you got to look it up, which I like. I like that. It has that mystery, so I can't wait to review that. That's going to be fun. I actually forgot how good that movie was. Honestly, I hadn't seen it in a while. But anyway, so I'll be doing that. Pin down. I don't know what's going on this week. It seems like Cream's got some IRL shit. I'll just keep it at that going on right now. So we didn't end up doing Dynamite or NXT this week. So I don't know if we're gonna be streaming, and we're probably not gonna stream Saturday. It's looking like I don't think we're gonna stream this week, but I will keep y'all posted. And there will be stuff put up if we're gonna go live this week. I don't know. So I'll just kind of keep it at that. But for sure, Sunday on Cowman Reviews, we will be live doing The Patriot. That is our next big review this Sunday. So we'll definitely be doing that. But still subscribe to Pin Down Podcast and subscribe to Cowman Reviews. But other than that, I guess we can start getting into Scary Movie 2. So we get like we're at this party, and it's kind of basically similar to The Exorcist. This lady gets her daughter gets possessed. And she calls priests, like if you remember in The Exorcist. And I love the opening gag where it's like the mom's talking about like, oh, I can't get food to my kids. Oh, you gotta give them candy. You know, it's like obviously a play on like the Catholic priest kind of kid jokes. And I love the scene where he's like, you think he's like reading the Bible and he's giving like this big thing. That's why he's having this like scrunchie. No, he's trying to take a shit. It's like James Woods was great in this. For like the little quick cameo he has in this opening scene, I love it. It's definitely that's the one thing I will say about, honestly, the first four scary movies. I think they all have great openings. I think the best one is probably the first one, and it could be a little bit of my bias because I love the first Scream, and also I thought they did a really good job of basically recreating that. But this would probably be almost second place. I really do love how they recreated The Exorcist. And, it ends with him shooting Reagan, unlike in the original. And then, yeah, we jump ahead. Cindy, I was going to say Anna Faris, I meant to say Cindy, is back along with Brenda, who's still alive. And she's talking with Shorty. And Shorty's kind of basically teaching her, I'll just say it, teaching her how to be black. Or, be hood. And she ends up like becoming hood and ends up robbing this like girl of her jacket. It's funny because she ends up beating the shit out of her, but she's not like intending to. She's just like being all hard and ends up violent and basically beats her up and takes her fucking jacket. It's fucking funny. It's such a funny opening. Like Anna Faris is so good in these movies. She is, if I had to say like in terms of like female character actor in like comedy, she's definitely up there. Because even in not a great movie, but Observe and Report, if you've ever seen that's with Seth Rogen, she plays his girlfriend. Even the little scenes she's in, she's fucking great. She's like just in general a great character actress. She's really good at being funny. I feel like she comes off natural being funny, doesn't come off try hard. It's just great. Like when she's trying to be all hard and yeah, bitch. It's so good. Oh shit. So we see Tim Curry, Mr. Oldman, which I love. That's his name, by the way, and Dwight. And then they mentioned that they were the survivors of the massacre from the previous movie, which I just love that they just disregard. Yeah, like Ray's back, and they do another gay joke with him in the beginning, and this is also where you meet Buddy. And I just love, like, how, like I said, they just disregard Ray being the killer. Yeah, he didn't die. Oh, he's just back. Also, Brenda's back. She survived, too. And they're still together. And I love that they still do the whole gay joke with him. Like, they still do it. I actually think they do it a little bit more. But I like that they don't. This is also when comedy was allowed to. You could almost do a joke, overuse a joke, but it wasn't annoying. It didn't feel like it was overused. So even if, let's say, a joke was overused, it didn't feel like it. And I kind of want to get back to that because I do feel like sometimes with a lot of newer comedies, they just overuse a joke and it feels like it's been overused. They don't know how to even have the art of, okay, if you're going to overuse the joke, we got to make the audience not feel like it's being overused. Whereas, like, yeah, if this was made now, they would really ham it up the whole thing he's gay, but it's not going to be funny like it still is in this, following the first movie. So, yeah, they get all the kids together. They're going to stay overnight at this house, which is actually haunted by the ghost of Hugh Kane. Cindy goes to explore the house. There's a scene on the way there. She's driving her car and she's like singing and she's listening to this song. And I love how the song just stops and the actual singer's like, shut the fuck up and let me sing. It's such a funny scene. It is fucking great. And that's when she gets to the place. She meets the weird guy with the weird hand, the deformed hand. And I actually love that character. He's a great character actor. He actually comes back in one of the later ones, if I remember. Like, he has like a different character, but yeah, he comes back. I think it's four. I think he comes back in four as like a background character. And I'll mention it when I rewatch that when we get to the review for that. But yeah, I think it was four. Now that I'm like remembering off the top of my head. So I do like he comes back, and I've seen him in like other movies. He's a great fun character actor. I just think the one scene, I'll just jump ahead and I'll talk about it again when we get to the scene on the actual review. But the scene with the food and he's putting his hand there and his hand's like kind of gross and that's the gag. I also think it went too long. I think that was my other issue. It went on way too long. It was just weird. I didn't find it funny, and I don't think I've ever found it funny. It's one of my things. Like I said, that I think this one relied a little too much on gross out humor. You know, I was fine with it in the beginning, though there are some people I have seen even include the opening scene, like, okay, that's a little too gross. But it made sense if you've actually seen The Exorcist, because Reagan does puke. There's some gross shit she does in that movie if you've seen the original. So it's fine. If it was just that, I would have been fine. But this scene specifically that I'm talking about, was not needed. Even the ghost sex, honestly, I'm even gonna add that. It's funny, but but it's not funny enough to where I would not cut it. Like, it was kind of weird, and you could have implied the sex and still have like the scene where he's all scared of her and she's possessive. You could have just did that without actually showing it. It was just kind of weird in this latest rewatch. I'll be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, there was a little bit too much kind of gross out humor in this one that I don't love this one as much, and I think there was always like I'm wondering why I don't come to this one as much, and I think that this is why. Like, there'll be times I'll just kind of skip. I'll watch one and then I'll just skip right to three. You know, but it's not bad. Like, I'm gonna really reiterate in this video. I do not think Scary Movie 2, I was gonna say Men in Black for some fucking reason. Scary Movie 2 is a bad movie. It's just, I think the gross out humor was a little too fucking much in a little bit. That I think it does taint it a little bit. But anyway, going back. So yeah, I think this is when, everybody else starts arriving. And I do love this scene where we have this argument between Dwight. He's the handicapped guy who, if you recognize that actor, he's in like a lot of stuff. He's in Men in Black 1 and 2 because he kind of reoccurring. He was in the Alvin and Chipmunk movie. He's usually like a good background actor, especially at like in the 90s and in like the 2000s, like that 90s 2000s era. You recognize this dude's face. He was kind of everywhere for a while. Can't think of the actor's name off the top of my head, but yeah, he is around for a while. So I actually did think he was funny in this movie. I think that's the one thing all the later scary movies really did well, is you did have funny side characters. Because even the side characters in 3, which I will get into when we get to 3, those were good. You know, the side characters in this are good. The side characters in 4 are good. Like, I really feel like these movies have funny side characters, but they still, and I actually do think all 4 have this in common too, is it's parodying another movie, but it still kind of feels like its own movie. I feel like this one still feels like its own movie. It's even to the point, like, this is a movie I've really not seen, so might as well just be a parody of something I don't even know, and that's why it still works. So I like that. It still feels like its own movie. It's not just a giant sketch show like I mentioned in the last video, where a lot of later comedy, or not comedy, but later like parody movies just became like, oh, it's just, let's just make this movie basically a giant sketch, and it's not really a movie. It's just a series of sketches. So I feel like at least this one didn't fall into the trap. Like, there are sketches within this movie, but it doesn't fully fall into that trap. It still feels like a film. Right? So you have this argument between Dwight and the guy in the hand with the deformed hand. I love this back and forth. Like, Dwight's like making fun of his deformed hand, like, oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna give this man a hand. And then the guy mentioned, basically makes fun of him for not being able to walk. He's like, I'm gonna give. Can you do a standing ovation? It's like Jesus. It's like I do miss comedy like this where you were just kind of allowed to make fun of shit like that. You couldn't even do this now. I'm not even saying you couldn't. People would be too scared to do it now. So I mean, yeah, this whole back and forth was so good. I'm just gonna walk away. Walk away. Like he reiterates. And then he mentions like something about stomp. Like, oh man. And Tim Curry's great in it because he's just kind of an old pervert. He wants the girls to just hook up. Like he has like cameras so in case they want to hook up. And yeah, you get the gag with the kitchen, with the dinner scene, which, like I mentioned, it was a little too much for me. It was like, I think if they had cut it and it wasn't like as long, it would have been fine. But it just kept going, and I didn't really find it funny. It was just like, okay, I kind of get it. It's like it's going a little long. So I didn't really love the scene. I did love the scene though. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. There's a scene where uh they end up doing a gag. It's like a play on like this NBA, like this basketball like commercial that used to come out like a lot of times in the 2000s. Like all these basketball players doing these basketball tricks. So they do that commercial, but with everybody, and they just are all of a sudden really good at basketball, and they're all doing it. I love it. I do love that sequence. It's fucking funny. So there's good, like I said, there's good sequences in the movie. I even love the scene where Cindy gets into the fight with the cat, and like there's a part of it, it turns into like a boxing, how they like would film a boxing match in a movie, and like when the cat would do these like slap it with his paw, it's like these really dramatic hits, and Cindy's like selling it like she's getting knocked the fuck out. It's so fucking great. And then yeah, she goes out with Buddy to kind of investigate. They find like a secret room, and because yeah, oh, I forgot to mention, yeah, he asked her out earlier, and she's, oh, I just want to be friends. So he like treats her like how he would treat one of his bros. So like he gave her like a wedgie, and like kind of like a little bit like how you would play with your bros. I don't want to word it like that. That sounds weird, but like how you like kind of fuck with your bros, right? And you get a little rough because it's like it's two men. So he would treat her like that, and that's kind of the gag. So they end up finding out about, I think it's like Hugh's wife or the woman he's in love with, and it looks similar to Cindy. But then the gag is that like, oh well, she doesn't have his like droopy titties. Like he starts making fun of her tits and saying like, oh, he doesn't have as much of a fucked up face. Like he's like, he even mentions like something about Down syndrome. It's like Jesus, because they even do this gag again a little later, but everybody else does it. It's so good. Um, but Dwight, it's like, I think at this point Dwight's trying to like get Oldman to try not to. He wants him to kind of to basically turn around, basically stop the experiment, but he refuses. And oh yeah, there's a scene where Tori Spelling's character has ghost sex with Hugh Kane, which was funny. And then obviously the next morning, I think this is when Cindy kind of tells them. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, there's a couple sequences. There's a scene with like a ghost clown that tries to like kidnap fucking Ray. But Ray, obviously, because the whole gag is he's like really gay. So all of a sudden, he basically is implied that he gets really handsy with the clown, and the clown's now trying to get away, and he's like pulling him back in. And there's like a part where the clown has like this fucking no face. It was so good. And then there's a gag with Shorty where he grows a weed plant, but the weed plant tries to smoke him. And he like wraps him up in like a blanket, basically how you would like roll a blunt. It's not a blunt, like a joint. Yeah, it was like a joint. And it's trying to smoke him, and then the way they stopped it was I think it was Buddy who gave him gave the weed plant the fucking because he had the munchies, so he gave him like some fucking, I think it was some kind of candy, basically. Or it's chips. It's either chips or candy. It was one of those. And so the next morning, the group tries to like strategize how to get out, and they basically use the hot girl to kind of flirt with Dwight to try to get the key, and she does that. Um, then I think the ghost attacks again, and then yeah, they have to separate, and they you have a gag where like the black characters are kind of left together, and they're all like fuck, because the gag is all black people die first, so they do that. Um, yeah, there's a point. Cindy and Buddy get locked into like a freezer. This is kind of where they kind of start going towards them being romantic. And I love the part, it was either before this scene or a little bit after, where the group reconvenes and they have like, how like you would have those cups and you make it like a makeshift like communicator and you like connected to it. Yeah, they did that, and that was the gag. I think it was before that because that was when the gag with like all the white people left together, and it was just Brenda, Shorty, and Ray, and they were all like "fuck," because it was like the black characters die. I really like that. Oh yeah, Oldman dies because they use a ghost of like a hot chick to lure him away. Yeah, he ends up getting killed. And then Dwight. This is at the point Dwight kind of joins the group and gives them like these guns, and you can have like the certain like goggles where you can see the ghost. Um, and then we find out, yeah, the ghost is either possessed, the guy with the deformed hand, or he basically works for him, and they make it seem like Shorty's dead, and his head's like eating his own head. And then, yeah, there's a Charlie Angels gag where they end up fighting the guy. And it's done like if you've seen the Charlie's Angel. At this point, I think this would have just only been the first one because Full Throttle would not have come out yet. So it would have just been the first Charlie's Angels movie, which came out the year before. And yeah, a lot of the gag was because it was the three ladies. It was Brenda, Cindy, and then the other girl. And the whole gag with Tori Spelling's character going back is she gets overly attached to Hugh Kane. So when she finds out Hugh Kane has a thing for Cindy, he's like, "Whatever, bitch!" Like she gets so defensive. It's fucking funny. And even the ghost of Hugh Kane gets scared of her because she gets overly attached. So that was pretty funny. Um, it's kind of ironic too. As I just thought of something. Tori Spelling, if you remember, has a cameo in Scream 2 because if you remember, they mentioned in the first one, it would be Sydney mentions that it would be Tori Spelling playing her, and then Tori Spelling is playing her in Stab. So she was technically in a Scream movie because she was in Scream 2 playing in a Stab movie. So I like that she's actually in this too, but she's actually an actual character in this. But anyway, I just thought that was a little funny. So the girls fight the deformed. I'll just say the deformed hand man, and yeah, he ends up getting defeated. They end up trapping the ghost and sending it away. And I love the part where because Dwight's on Ray's back, and then Ray he ends up crashing and landing somewhere. He's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm okay. I didn't. It's something broke my fall," and then you see fucking Dwight all fucked up. It's so fucking great. It's and it ends with Cindy getting with Buddy and um, Brenda, and yeah, Brenda's still with Ray, and then it ends with But they got the deformed hand man comes back because he poses like a hot dog vendor, and Buddy runs away because it's like they're walking together, and then she sees him, and he's immediately just gone. But yeah, she manages to not Dwight, Shorty like runs him over and kills him, and the movie basically ends. So Scary Movie 2 is decent. It's just a little too reliant on kind of gross humor, but overall, it's still a funny movie. I like that it still feels like a film. It isn't just a bunch of sketches put together, or if there is, it's sections of sketches, but it still feels like a film. So I thought they did a decent job with the balance. Even if I don't fully know the movie they parodied as much as compared to the other two, because the third one they parody the Ring slash, like there's a scene where they parody also 8 Mile and Signs. That's another one. So those are like the three main movies that kind of parodies, and then four is War of the Worlds slash Saw. I think it's something else too, but those are like the two big ones I can think for four. Oh, The Grudge. That's another one. Yeah, The Grudge. So yeah. Oh, and The Village too. So there's a couple more. Yeah, The Village too, because there's a scene where they parody The Village. So I more know those movies, whereas I'll admit this one I've only seen once, and I don't fully remember it. So, but overall, this is still a good movie. I think still funny. It's mostly good. So if I gave the first one like almost a 9, like a 9.5, almost a 10, I'd give this one like maybe an 8. Yeah, an 8. I think that'd be fair. 8 out of 10. It's still entertaining. It's still really funny. You could watch this one right after the first one, and it still works. And there's some really funny fucking parts. I really like that Anna Faris is allowed to show her comedy chops in these movies. And I feel like she gets progressively funnier throughout the movies. Like she gets, she was funny in the first one, then she gets funny in this one, and then she gets really funny in 3. I think 3 is probably her best performance in terms of really being funny is 3. But she's also really funny in 4 too. So like she progressively gets funnier throughout like the entire trilogy. She gets better and better. So I really gotta credit her for that. Even Regina Hall, she's fucking funny in these movies too. Like she gets progressively funnier. Unfortunately, yeah, this is the last one with the Wayans brothers in the movie because Ray and Marlon Wayans and Sean Wayans don't come back in 3 and 4, and they're gonna be back in the new one, but that sucks. So I hate how that fell out, but I'm not gonna act like Scary Movie 3 is bad now, though. It's still really funny, especially with Leslie Nielsen, and I can't wait to really review that one next week. But overall, I still really like um, Scary Movie 2. It's still really funny. Um, I thought the side characters are really good. I like some of the newer characters like Buddy and fucking Dwight, the deformed hand guy. I thought he was really funny. But you also made use of the characters that were in the previous movie, so I thought that was a nice balance. So yeah, overall, pretty good movie. So I would recommend it if you want to, if you're gonna go through the Scary Movie films. So. But like I said, my next review is gonna be Cloverfield, which I cannot wait to get to. That's gonna be fun. I really like that movie. I like how too it speed runs through all like the drama, like the relationship shit with the main character and then the one girl he's with, and like they're at a party and you get through all that kind of. I love how they just speed run that because it's like they don't make you go because once shit gets started. They don't like when destructions happen. Let's have a bunch of drama. No. When the shit gets real, we're gonna let the shit get real. We're not gonna like spend all this time doing all this drama throughout. No. We're gonna just speed run through that in the beginning. It's like, all right, just if you guys want to this is the part 2 where if you guys want to just skip this part and just get right to the destruction, this is where we'll do it. And I don't have a problem with like the relationship stuff, but I do love that they just speed run through that because once the shit gets real, like yeah, the relationship's still part of it because the main guy wants to go back for her, but they don't. Once shit gets real, the drama stuff drops at that point. It's about survival, and I love that they do that, you know, and I love how it's shot. They're able to still kind of keep it cinematic, but also make it a like found footage movie. I love how they're able to blend that, and it bothers me that a lot of other found footage movies haven't tried that. You know, horror you can kind of get away with a little bit more of like the rougher found footage stuff. But something like if you're gonna do a found footage monster movie, you better keep some of those cinematic shots because it's a bigger scale movie. So of course you gotta show that. It can't just be moving around all the fucking time and the camera's just fucking scattered and you just can't see shit. You can kind of get away with that in like a horror movie where it's like a ghost or even like a slasher and it's just done found footage style. You know, you can kind of get away with that because in general those movies are just lower, smaller budget anyway. But like if you're doing something like this where it's a monster movie or even like an alien invasion, I still feel that way. You got to still find a way to keep it cinematic because that's why we see these movies. You know, I remember watching Cloverfield in theaters and just that being an experience. And I don't know why it took me a while to rewatch. I don't know. I just did, at the time it never was. Oh, I'm gonna make this a movie I watch all the time, but I definitely should now. It's fucking great. So I'm gonna be reviewing that. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. We'll see if I have it, if I can get to it tomorrow. But if not, definitely Friday. If I do it Friday, I'm gonna try to do it during the day. If I can't do it tomorrow, but yeah, man. Other than that, guys, subscribe to Pin Down, subscribe to Cowman Reviews. Look out for our Patriot review on Sunday, and I'll figure out what's going on with Pin Down this week. But yeah, guys. Other than that, Scary Movie 2 is pretty fun. So, all right, guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.